Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We're going to get started in just a minute here. Hang tight. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. We're just going to give it one more minute here, and then we'll get started. Thank you for your patience. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to ACT's October webinar event, Transportation Management Associations, Building Public and Private Partnerships for Commuters. Our presenters for today are Rob Henry, Executive Director of GVF, Alex Scarborough, Membership Program Manager, Movability Austin, and Karen Stewart, Executive Director of Smart Commute Metro North. Thank you all for being here today. I just want to take a few take care of a few housekeeping items for you. First, just to let everyone know, this session is being recorded and will be made available on our website by tomorrow morning. We also wanted to let everyone know that during this presentation, you will all be muted. If you have a question or you need something, please go ahead and type in your question to the left of your name by clicking on the question mark sign right to the left of your name. And lastly, please make sure to fill out an evaluation at the end of the presentation so that we can get your feedback, and that is greatly appreciated. And without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and introduce David Strauss, ACT's Executive Director.
Excellent. Thank you, Casey. Good afternoon. Welcome. We have with us today over 250 folks registered for this webinar, our fifth of the year. Representing a real wide range of sectors within transportation demand management. And before we get started, I just want to take a couple polls as I talk, and just let us know right now how many people are watching in your location with you. All right, folks can vote clicking on one of the numbers that are up on the screen. ACT's webinars are a great opportunity to really provide professional development and learning for your staff, other members of your TMAs, partners, clients, and we hope that you'll use these webinars to really bring people together and provide additional value through your membership in the organization. Let's close the poll. Did we see? I couldn't see.
Oh, I just pulled it up. Didn't pull it up, sorry.
All right. I'm sure we have a lot of folks joining us on the call today. ACT is an international association and leading advocate for commuter transportation and transportation demand management professionals. We strive to get the most out of our transportation while improving the lives of commuters, increasing the livability of communities, and supporting the economic growth of businesses as we look to create a better journey for everyone. Please take a moment to let us know if you are a member of ACT. Alrighty, so folks can just click on the number on the screen, and we'll get a sense of who is with us today. If you are already a member, you know about the valuable benefits and services you receive from the association. including networking, learning, advocacy, public policy, and research. And if you're not a member, I invite you to join us. Let's see what the broke down to. So close to 40% of the folks on the call today are not currently members of the association. So I really encourage you to look into the possibility of membership. If you have any questions, to reach out to a member of the staff. An important part of ACT is our council structure that we have, which enables members from across the country to gather on specific niche issues of importance to them in our industry. Councils include employer, sustainable real estate, telework, university, fan pool, and transportation management associations, which is co-hosting today's webinar. I'd like to just introduce Maureen Farrell, Chair of the TMA Council, to say a few words.
Thank you, David. And yeah, as chair, we're very excited for the white paper to be released. This is the first of many resources that we envision to be valuable for other TMAs. And one of our big initiatives that we're going to be working on is creating a database for TMAs. So we're all very different, and you'll see that highlighted in our featured speakers today. But we want to build a database that shows our areas of expertise so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and you can call upon other TMAs that maybe are located across the country. I'm excited to also announce a new vice chair, Jonathan Hopkins, who is the executive director for Commute Seattle. We are also on LinkedIn. That is new, the TMA Council. So if you are not yet following us or connected on LinkedIn, please take a look there. We're also on Facebook. And lastly, as you know, the most value is really getting involved, and so we are looking for volunteers. If you are interested, please reach out to me. My contact information is listed on the website. I'd be happy to talk to you a little bit more about areas of your expertise where you can help. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Maureen. And reiterate, the councils are a great way to get involved and engage in the organization and serve in a role of leadership. I believe right now many of the councils are in the process of developing their work plans for 2018, identifying opportunities for research and data gathering within their areas. And if you want to get involved, you can contact the council chairs via our website or reach out to a member of the staff. Today's webinar is being held in conjunction with the release of our newest paper, A Better Way, Spotlight on Transportation Management Associations. For over 30 years, TMAs have been helping communities deliver transportation options that benefit commuters, employers, and communities. In that time, often developed in partnership between public and private sectors, TMAs have become powerful organizations to increase mobility, improve air quality, and strengthen livability and economic development in the regions they serve. Before we get started, one final poll question. Please let us know what best represents your interest in TMAs. And as that goes on, I'll just continue. We'll hear from, today we're going to hear from 3 TMAs that were spotlighted in the paper. We learn how Austin, Texas supported the launch of Movability Austin to address the impacts of rapid growth, and why leaders in Denver established the Smart Commute Metro North TMO, and how GVF leveraged a diverse board to be seen as a statewide model for transportation analysis and planning. So let's see what the results were from that one. Excellent. Looks like we got about 25% interest that represent a TMA. About half the folks just love all things TDM, which is great to have you on here, and about 16% interested in forming a TMA. And for those of you that are interested in forming a TMA, please do take benefit in the TMA Council and for assistance and guidance as you do that work. We do have a handbook that's been published and available on the ACT website on TMAs and TMA formation that is available to you. So just to remind everyone, during the presentations, you will be muted. Please enter all questions in the question boxes provided, and we will go ahead and get started. It's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Rob Henry, Executive Director of GBF, a nonprofit TMA located in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Under his leadership, GBF has received numerous local, regional, and national awards. He's been with GBF since 1999 and manages all of their daily activities. In 2015, GBF was named a gold level employer in the National Best Workplaces for Commuters competition for the 7th consecutive year. It's also featured at the GBS was also featured at the Economy League of Greater Philadelphia's World Class Summit as an innovative organization that is working across sectors to make their region world class. In 2013, Rob was named Nonprofit CEO of the Year by the Mainline Chamber of Commerce, and for the last 3 years, Rob has served as president of the board for the Association for Commuter Transportation, his bachelor's degree in marketing, and loves being a father, running, enjoys books on leadership and history. Please join me in welcoming Rob Henry. Turn it over to you, Rob.
Thank you, David. So I have show my screen. Are you seeing it?
Not yet. Did you click on it?
I clicked on it now.
This is waiting to view.
Yeah, choose screen or app page. Okay. Here, want to send it to me?
Yep, I can send it to you again.
Yeah.
It's actually not letting me. It says that we're waiting for you to respond to it. Let me bring it back to me. 1 second. It's okay.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, it didn't pop up on the screen like before.
You can get started talking, Rob, if you want. And
okay.
Oh,
yeah.
There we go. There it goes.
Got it? Okay.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, David, for that. I have a little background here on, now my slides aren't advancing, there they go, on who is GBF and what we do, and I'll kind of walk you through some of the changes we made over the past 5 or 6 years with our board structure that has led to kind of a lot of what we've accomplished in that time. So to give you an idea, 27 years old, nonprofit, we're a 501c4. We're located in the suburbs of Philadelphia, about 30 minutes from downtown Philadelphia. We were the first TMA established in Pennsylvania. There are about 9 others at this time. Just some of the different awards we received, a lot of great awards through ACT over the years, including Outstanding TMA twice, Best Workplaces for Commuters. We've gotten other awards from other associations, and have really focused on doing the work, and the recognition is wonderful to receive, and but also want to make sure that the work is quality. So an idea of the area that we work in, so we're in a 2-county area that's semi-served by 2 other TMAs, but in the area that we are working in, there's 1.3 million residents in both Chester and Montgomery County, and to give you a size perspective, it's suburban, but it's larger than the cities of Dallas, and as you can see, San Jose, Austin, San Francisco, and Denver, and double the size of Nashville, Portland, Las Vegas, and Atlanta. And our area is 77% larger than Pittsburgh, which is the 2nd largest city in Pennsylvania. So it's a fairly big area. Old infrastructure going back to the early 1900s, and you have rail networks, trail networks, buses, you have everything you can imagine, and with that comes congestion and sprawl and all the things that we work on. So some of the things we like to do is we like to try and have a lot of fun and connect with people, and I thought this was a good one we left in here for, it is Halloween, so happy Halloween all. And this was a little thing we did on May the 4th to try to connect with people and to tie in TDM, and as far as if you're familiar with Star Wars, the do or do not versus trying. So one of the things that we did is, and I'll get into some of our taglines that we utilize and some of the things we're changing, is we've been very blessed to have a very dynamic board of directors. And about 6 years ago, we had a board where if you joined the organization, you were automatically a member of the board. created a very challenging management structure. So we went through and created a targeted list of board members through a diverse group of industry that I'll just run through. And that has helped immensely with basically putting our strategic plan into place and then growing the association. So as you can see, two of our officers are engineers. Another works for Simon Property, which is the largest commercial property owner in the United States. We have what's here, the King of Prussia Mall around the corner from our office, and that is the largest mall by leasable square feet in the country. If you look at landmass, it's the Mall of America, but King of Prussia is number one in leasable square feet, and it just keeps growing. And then another, our secretary is from Vanguard, which is one of our largest employers, with roughly anywhere between 13 to 15,000 employees working for Vanguard as they continue to grow. Some other members of our board, so we have other consultant firms. We have local government, township managers. We have real estate investment trusts, and we have economic development organizations, special services district. Last year, two things that we added were a focus on working with attorneys, which we traditionally did not have a strong relationship with. So we added 2 land use attorneys to our board of directors. And one primarily works with the private side, the other primarily works with the public side, and it's been great to have their input on the board. And then we also added a principal of an architectural firm as we look at working more with residential development and integrating the design community into TDM. And the 3 of them have really been great on the board, and we're excited to have them. Another thing we do is we have ex officio members, and those are non-voting members. We vote by consensus, but in essence, they're not dues-paying members, so they're not voting members of the board. So what we did with that is we targeted elected officials that were working in transportation. So we have 2 state representatives that sit on the transportation committee. We're very lucky to have the Secretary of Transportation for Pennsylvania serve on our board. She's a former county commissioner who was on our board as the county commissioner, and when the governor was elected roughly 3 years ago, she was appointed secretary and asked if she can continue to serve on our board, and we were very excited with that. And then we also have the gentleman who manages what's called District 6 in our area, which is the region of our Department of Transportation. We have 2 county commissioners. We have the director of planning for our Metropolitan Planning Organization. We have our largest geographic area is in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. So we have the director of the Planning Commission on our board, and then our Transit Authority's head of government relations, and then also from our Pennsylvania Turnpike, which is the largest toll facility in Pennsylvania, we have the district engineer. So it's pretty much anyone and every organization that's involved in mobility in Pennsylvania, and in particular in southeastern Pennsylvania where we are, they serve on our board. So they help, as you see, to drive that mission that we have going forward. So one of the ways we do this is through partnerships, and we have our taglines that I'll go through, and partnerships being a big part of that. We've always said we didn't want people to just be members, we wanted them to be partners. And we've done that through relationship building, through, as you can see here, Vanguard has been a member for 22 years, and we continue to work on that relationship to cultivate that, and with having Vanguard as an officer has helped a lot. You'll also see some other organizations here, pharmaceutical. We have a lot of pharmaceutical organizations. We have a lot of universities here in our area. So we work with those organizations. They're all members and on and around mobility and TDM. And with the partnerships, we try to do certain things. We have an event every year I'll touch a little bit on further, but we partner with the local ABC affiliate to recognize those that are doing good work in TDM, and then we also do different social media campaigns hitting on, this one, for example, we're lucky to have our partners, and that was from St. Patrick's Day. Another big piece of what we do is advocacy. So we spend a lot of time, and as a 501c4, we can do this versus, say, if you're a 501c3, whether in our state capital or on the federal level. We actually had a public policy committee meeting today, which are basically members of the association that are very engaged with public policy, We had our 2 state representatives that are on our board, and we had a congressman come in to discuss state and federal issues as they relate to today. And we've taken groups down to Washington. We were just in Harrisburg, which is our state capital this year, meeting with the governor's office, the executive director of the Senate Transportation Committee, as well as the Department of Transportation, and wound up actually meeting with the secretary. So it's those relationships from our board, and a lot of times it is board members that go there and support us as they're very engaged in what we do. Another piece that we've always done is sustainability, and I think TDM has always been sustainable. It just was a nice buzzword that popped up over the years. We do a lot of, as many others do, a lot of tabling events, a lot of bike to work days, do car-free days, all types of promotional days to go out and meet more so with the general public, but in a way, a lot of times it's connected to our members. So sometimes if we do a big event, I mentioned earlier, we have a gentleman, executive director of the Special Services District. We've done events in his area with other organizations that aren't members, but we become the driver to help make it, and that one in particular was on Car-Free Day. We've done Parking Day. We've done all kinds of things. On Bike to Work Day, we have county commissioners ride with us, and we've had it actually the past 2 years. It's been live on the radio with the largest radio station in the area, and they ride with us and talk about Bike to Work Day and all the benefits and interview cyclists. So it's been a real nice win-win through that partnerships and utilizing our board. And last year we had over 5,000 attendees at various TDM events. And I think that's the other important thing that we've tried to do is measure it. That's always been important, and I think the more you can measure and the more data you can give to the potential funders, the better you'll be in the long term. A newer one that in the past couple of years that we've focused on is innovation. So as I mentioned, the secretary is on our board. She's been very aggressive with autonomous vehicles and innovation in Pennsylvania, and also with sort of AASHTO and nationally. We recently were part of the first Pennsylvania Autonomous Vehicle Summit, and it's something that I think is a big part. Even today, the congressman that we had in talked about he serves on the energy subcommittee, and that's where autonomous vehicles fall under in Washington, and working with that committee as they had already actually drafted legislation that passed the House, now it's in the Senate, but what is our role in that, and how can we influence that discussion? Another thing that we do with the public-private partnerships is the TDM analysis. So we utilize this is a GIS platform to do zip code analysis, and it can be from very high level to very low level depending upon the organization we're working with. And here you just see us mapping out some of employees' commute routes and kind of getting deep pockets to see where the highest concentration is, so we can make better connection for carpool, van pool, cycling, etc. We've done analysis, and this is separate from our base contracts for a lot of organizations. You can see here where these have been our clients that we've worked with, and whether it be that we analyze the potential for a shuttle system, analyze van pooling, car pooling, whatever it may be. Sometimes it's moving facilities from one state to another into our area, or it could be just moving from downtown Philadelphia to suburban area, or vice versa. So that's something that we focus on. We have been pushing the MPO to do TDM analysis, and last year we received the first funding for the first TDM study in our region, and we're in the process of working and completing that now. To see some of the key findings. It's an old industrial park that was struggling and is trying to go through a renaissance. They're investing millions and millions of dollars into trails and new highway capacity, but it was very haphazard, and we felt that there could be a better way to do this. So we approached the community about doing that in the MPO, and it was funded, and it's been a really interesting, fun process so far. A lot of other ways that we do it is through communications. David mentioned my background originally was in marketing, and I think TDM, a lot of it is marketing and communicating with people. So we do it through videos, through social media, through websites, whatever way we can touch people And then last year we went back and just measured how are we doing, what was that touch point, and we reached over 1.2 million people, which, you know, for a marketing budget of next to zero, it's amazing what you can accomplish just by putting the content out there and utilizing our members and board members to help us disseminate that to their different organizations and through their different networks. Another way is utilizing the media, which is sometimes a little harder nowadays because I think there's a little less, especially in journalism. But we were featured on most of the major news channels, local papers, local radio, and it's something that we continue to push out there. One thing that we just recently relaunched, we created a website called We Are TDM about 2-3 years ago. It was to be a resource for people that didn't understand, and it really did not take off, so we decided to reboot it, and now we're basically populating that website every day with different stories from TDM that are local but also across the country as we continue to try to integrate TDM into the nomenclature and have everyone just understand what it is, but also to challenge them to say, well, if this community is doing it here, why can't we do this here? And you know, we've had some great statistics already for the utilization, so we're looking forward to continue to grow that. We also manage phillytraffic.com, which is a website that with our Department of Transportation that looks at traffic and it has traffic cameras, but then we can also push out, you know, alternatives to driving alone. We manage construction websites for DOT as part of our subcontracts. And then, as I mentioned, we go out and we talk about TDM, we push TDM, we give lunch and learns in companies, we go out to community college and talk to students or to employee job fairs, which many of you do, and just continue to get it out wherever we can. Another big area, real quick, is our events. We do 4 major events a year. We host a legislative breakfast every year, and we bring in sometimes federal, sometimes local. It all depends on what are the key issues to talk about that, and we've done that now probably for the past 5 years. We have our annual meeting every year where we recognize annual award winners. That's one of our local congressmen. We also do, similar to ACT, we do a top TDM under 40 recipient, and we've done that now for 3 or 4 years. We do our annual TDM awards breakfast. I mentioned this a little earlier, where we recognize, and we have a whole application process where people have to go through and rank what they're doing. They then in turn get scored as a, you know, diamond, platinum, gold, silver, bronze level, and so far we've awarded over 200 employers since inception. And it's been great for us because, one, they share more of what they're doing that sometimes we don't know, and 2, they keep challenging themselves to raise the bar, and that's really been a fun experience for us. And that's an annual. And then we partner with the local ABC affiliate, and then they push it on the news, and they discuss the companies, and it's been a real nice win for them too, as far as PR. We also have a kind of half-day conference every year called Advancing Mobility. Last year we had over 30 speakers. We bring in national, local speakers to talk about all the different aspects of TDM. And just an idea, we have it actually this upcoming Monday, November 6th. We have and those are just some of the speakers, and we kind of change them up year to year and just different topics. And then just one thing that, you know, for the TMA and what you can do. So in addition to, you know, the van pool, carpool, telework, bike, ped, you know, we're a big proponent, obviously, of transit, but not just talking about transit, actually trying to make transit happen. So in our area, as I mentioned, it's a very old infrastructure, and we haven't had any type of real transit expansion 30, 40 years in this area, yet we've had phenomenal growth. And we've actually never, if you're familiar with transit, never received New Starts money as a region. So the Philadelphia Metro region has never gotten New Starts dollars, which is how most of these transit expansion projects are funded. We are working right now on a rail expansion project, and we have public meetings coming up in 2 weeks. It's a $1 billion expansion. We've had economists look at this. It's just been something we've been actively engaged with, and if you ever want to know more, I'm happy to share, but it's a big focus of what we're doing to get that transit expansion in our community. And then the other big thing, just to end it, is, you know, we like to have a lot of fun, and I think with ACT as being board president, you know, try to have as much fun as you can. If it's not worth it, if you're not having fun, so just do things around the office to keep people stimulated, engaged, and just wanted to end with a happy Halloween, and thanks everyone for listening. Have a great day.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rob. And just to let everyone know, we will do questions at the end of all three presentations. So we'll get to those that have entered them a little later on. Our next speaker is Alex Scarborough, Membership Program Manager at Movability Austin. With an urban planning degree in hand, Alex began her career at an architecture and urban design firm before jumping into the field of TDM at a rapidly growing nonprofit called Movability Austin in Austin, Texas. Within a few months, she was coordinating a $150,000 grant-funded individualized marketing pilot program and mentoring 16 interns. Alex has since transformed the membership program, identifying new sources of income and more than doubling the program's revenue in the first 6 months. She's a trainer in motivational interviewing and a 2017 recipient of ACT's 40 Under 40 Leadership Award, and currently manages membership, partnerships, and consulting services at the organization. Please join me in welcoming Alex Scarborough.
All right, thanks very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for hanging out with us today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Movability is, how we were formed a few years ago, of how our organization has evolved over the last few years, and of course, our very bright and shiny future. So Movability Austin is the only transportation management association in Central Texas. Our focus is really on working with employers to align mobility programs with their business goals. We're membership-based, but we also offer consulting and have several other programs to help employers develop and implement their strategic mobility plans. We're a fairly small organization. We have 2 full-time staff people, and we're actually hiring a 3rd right now, which we're very excited about, and then have some contractors as well. So our funding model for Movability, just at a high level, it's a mix of corporate membership, public sector partnerships, sponsorships from transportation service providers, and consulting fees. We also have the Mobility Challenge, which is a grant-funded program from the City of Austin, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So formation for Movability Austin was really driven by the Downtown Austin Alliance. The Alliance is a group of downtown property and business owners who work together to improve and enhance downtown. A Downtown Austin Alliance staff member attended an ACT conference in Montreal several years ago, and that's actually how we learned about TMAs in the first place. Really recognizing that we were growing rapidly as a region and had increasing congestion, especially downtown, where we have most of our jobs concentrated in this region. The Alliance knew that we needed a TMA at some point. They invited Rick Williams from Lloyd District TMA in Portland to speak to a really wide audience of public and private sector partners. And then the Alliance hired a company to do a feasibility study. And in 2012, with founding partnerships from the Downtown Alliance, Travis County, the City of Austin, and Capital Metro, which is our local transit authority, the Downtown Austin Transportation Management Association was born. And we now go by the much shorter name Movability. Movability has really evolved a lot over the years. In 2015, the mayor of the City of Austin issued a challenge to the private sector to really step up and be part of the solution to our growing congestion problems in the region. We then worked with some consultants to take his kind of broad idea of this challenge and turn it into an actual program that companies could sign up for and get real help in implementing PDM solutions. And that's one of our most popular programs now. We actually take 20 companies each year. The city pays for us to do a strategic mobility plan with them that's very customized and focused on helping them meet their business goals. And in fact, just yesterday we had our annual Mayor's Mobility Luncheon, which was very well attended. In 2016, our original founding executive director, Glenn Gavois, which several of you probably know, left Movability, and we signed a management contract with the Downtown Austin Alliance, who has been there from the start with us, for them to provide professional management and really help position Movability to grow. This year has been really exciting. We've been working on our actually first strategic plan, to help position us to take advantage of the opportunities coming our way. We made a big decision to expand from just a downtown focus. Originally, we had a very small geographic boundary, and our board decided to expand to a more regional approach. That was really because they recognized that many of our large employers, in terms of size, are outside of downtown, and as many of us know, traffic is really a regional problem. We're seeing some traffic patterns where people are actually commuting from the far north end of Austin to cities south of Austin, so they're still coming through the core, but it's really not a problem that we can solve just by working with downtown employers. Just to give you an idea of some of our membership, this is something that we actually changed pretty dramatically this year, which is our membership structure. We've always had corporate members and partners, but when we launched our new program this year, we actually separated out membership fees from consulting fees, recognizing that some corporate members already had great mobility programs, which is very exciting. They wanted some networking and recognition, but may not need kind of the hands-on implementation help. Whereas other corporate members really do need us to come in, develop mobility plans, host lunch and learns, have one-on-one conversations with employees, and really help them implement those programs. So we've actually separated those out so that companies are actually paying for the staff time that they use in terms of consulting. We also expanded our partnership program. So instead of just one level of partnership, we have several different levels that service providers across the region can come in at to support the movement, and then also make some really crucial connections with corporate members. Finally, just kind of a quick look at the future. I think there's really beginning to be a recognition that TDM is a crucial part of our strategy in the Austin region to address congestion and also just to allow us to grow economically in this area. It's great that people are recognizing the needs of TDM, but as the only TMA, that means that everybody is knocking on our door asking us to do this, that, and the other. We're excited about that, but really having to be strategic about where we put our resources and what direction we want to grow in to really have the biggest impact. So I've listed on here just a couple of ways that we're starting to work on those future opportunities, and I'm sure there are more coming. So I think we'll do questions at the end, but if anybody ever has questions about movability or you're interested in starting a TMA, I would be happy to talk to you about it and kind of tell you a little more about our process. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alex. That was great. Our final speaker is Karen Stewart, Executive Director of Smart Commute Metro North. Karen is the former mayor of the city and county of Broomfield, known for her regional collaboration and strong support of fast tracks. She served as chair of the Northwest Parkway Public Highway Authority and had leadership roles with the Denver Regional Council of Governments, the U.S. 36 Mayors and Commissioners Coalition, and the Metro Mayors Caucus. Stewart is the Executive Director of Smart Commute Metro North, a transportation management organization, a similar entity as the Transportation Management Association, serving the North Metro region, and is the administrator of the North Area Transportation Alliance, a collaborative private partnership formed to work with communities and businesses promoting transportation options and improvements, fostering economic vitality, and enhancing mobility in the Metro North region. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Sociology and Economics from Marymount College and a certificate from the Senior Executives in State and Local Government Program from the John F. Kennedy School of Government, Harvard University. 2015, Karen received the Denver Regional Council of Governments Distinguished Service Award, and in 2017 was a finalist for the Denver Business Journal's Outstanding Women in Business for Education and Nonprofits. She was recently appointed by Governor John Hickenlooper as the District 4 Transportation Commissioner. Please join me in welcoming Karen Stewart.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here today, and I've really enjoyed listening to the other two TMOs tell me about how they are organized and their success. And I've written down quite a few things that they've said, and I'll add that to the kinds of things that we're doing in the future. Wanted to tell you about Smart Commute. We're very young. We're only 5 years old. Hang on just one second. and I'll forward this. Let's see, nope. Do you have my screen up, Casey?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, I'm having difficulty moving the PowerPoint forward.
I have a copy on the presentation. I can share my screen right now. You can just let me know when you want me to move forward. Oh, you got it? Okay.
I think I've got it. Okay, hang on. Thanks, everyone. So we were started in 2012, and we were initially funded by the Denver Regional Council of Governments. It's a council of governments that come together to look at the funding that comes through the feds. And transportation is the primary objective of the Denver Regional Council of Governments. They pass through the federal money through that MPO. There's about 56 communities that are part of the Denver Metro Regional Council of Governments. In the Denver metro region, there were 6 TMOs established prior to us. We're number 7. And we had watched how influential the TMOs were in helping to reduce congestion and improve air quality, provide employer services, and do advocacy for transportation improvements. And our area, you can see on the map here, is just north of Denver. It's east of Boulder, and just south of Fort Collins and Loveland, if you're familiar with the Denver metro area. The North Area Transportation Alliance was a loosely formed group of government jurisdictions along the I-25 corridor, which is the main freight corridor that bisects the state of Colorado and the Denver metro region. And this group of 9 jurisdictions that have a location along the corridor, plus the North Denver Chamber, the North Metro Chamber of Commerce, and the Adams County Economic Development Group, got together and applied for a grant through DRCOG for a startup. That was a $200,000 startup grant for 2 years, and the requirement was a 30% local match for that grant. So each of these jurisdictions, as well as the Economic Development Group and the Chamber, agreed to do in-kind and some financial local match in order to make this TMO happen. So the first 2 years of the TMO were really about putting together the organization, doing the nonprofit, putting together a board of directors, talking about how you would get membership and what kind of programs did we want to create. As I said before, there were 6 other TMOs in the Denver metro region, and all of them had had great success in helping educate the communities, helping provide mobility options and programs, and being advocates for transportation improvements along their corridors. When we first got established, we looked at the 9 jurisdictions who helped create us, and they all became members of our organization. And then we did some low-hanging fruit. We went to organizations and businesses that already were aware of how TMOs functioned and the success TMOs had in our region. People like Google and Digital Globe and XL Power, which is our big power company, typically large employers in the area, and we asked them if they would be partners with our TMO, and that's how we got started. We looked at what our mission was going to be, and we talk about our mission similar to the other 2 TMOs in that our mission is really information, action, and advocacy. Information and giving mobility option information to both the community and employers within the area. Action in that we provide programming, incentives. We do a lot of, take the bus on us, any kind of mobility programming that fits for campaigns that the Denver Regional Council of Governments has. They recently had Go-tober, which was a celebration of October for employers within the Denver metro region, a huge competition to reduce VMT, and there were awards associated with that. That was part of ours. And then the advocacy also to bring transportation improvements, both in funding and in policy, to different corridors. We're really bisected by a couple of corridors. The I-25 corridor is the big one, but we have State Highway 7 to the north, we have US 85 to the east, and the Denver metro region has a program called Fast Tracks, which is newly available commuter and light rail throughout the Denver metro region. There was a initiative that passed in 2004, and since 2004, each of these transportation corridors have been provided with either light rail or commuter rail as the funds have been available. Wanted to show you what our rail line looked like. If you look at the whole Denver metro Fast Tracks corridor, you can see that we're an arm off of that corridor, the North Metro Rail Line, and it was one of the rail line corridors that didn't have funding initially, and as part of our TMO strategy, we worked with the communities to bring advocacy for getting that North Metro Rail Line built. It's now being built. We'll have 7 stations along that corridor. We expect to have it open in 2019, and it will be one more option for the north end of the Denver metro region to connect to the rest of the Denver metro region. What we find is people can't afford to live in Denver, but many of the jobs are in that area, and so people live in the outlying suburban areas and drive in single occupancy vehicles to work every day, thus the incredible congestion that we have in the Denver metro region right now. Part of our mission established by our board of directors is to encourage economic vitality, to address this increasing congestion, and to provide a unified voice for transportation improvements, whether they're rail improvements or highway improvements or bike and pedestrian improvements, any of those transit service improvements. Our board of directors is made up of 12 people. We've focused on 1/3 of them being elected officials and 2/3 of them being business or corporate partners. We work with all of the jurisdictions' public information officers to disseminate our different campaigns and programs, and we found that to be very effective. And most PIOs within our North Metro area are always looking for more material to put out for people in their jurisdiction. So we use both their web capability, but very often many of them do public broadcast channel and often allow us to do programming on that as well. Wanted to tell you the value of our board and how they see the TMO as helpful to the community. Eric Hansen, one of our initial board members, is a county commissioner for Adams County, and he really was one of the founders of the North Area Transportation Alliance, looking at how does this group of elected officials bring more focus on transportation improvements. He was one of the people who really felt a TMO was the vehicle to make that happen for our North End. And Eric sits on the Economic Development Council board here and recognizes that when site selectors look for places to bring in employment, transit, and the ability for people to get to their jobs within a reliable time period is important. The reason we want economic development in our north area is pretty simple. It's because when all the economic development is miles from where you live, the congestion is exacerbated. And when you have economic development with jobs and services within your community, you can live and work within the community, and that really does reduce congestion. We're looking very closely now at first and last mile opportunities once our transit system is up, but we also look at how people within our north area can have jobs closer to home. One of our other board members, Irene Tynes, was public information for St. Anthony North Health Campus, a very large campus that built to the north of our metro downtown. And they had an issue with not having any transportation other than single occupancy vehicle transportation to their new health campus. And we worked very closely with them to increase bus service up to that area, and then to work within their group doing a transportation fair with their employers and doing origin destination scatter map to assess who could carpool together, how you could form a van pool, and what transportation options other than single occupancy vehicle was available. They've been a very good help with us, and both Eric and Irene have worked hard on our board to put our message out there to others. I think the job of the TMO is always helped with a very active board, and we've been very fortunate to have active board members. Wanted to show you what we look like in the Denver metro region, with the star being Denver, and then you can see that all these communities to the north on I-25 are part of our TMO. We advocate for transportation improvements in that we often attend city council meetings or county meetings and make sure that as development comes through, they're thinking about pedestrian connections and transportation connections. We've worked with the Colorado Department of Transportation to mitigate construction on I-25 by providing TDM strategies with incentives for people to form carpools and van pools and take transit to reduce the number of vehicles during that construction period. We've worked with the Regional Transportation District to make sure that they know the importance of the North Metro Rail Line, and we make sure that we attend those kinds of meetings and then also go out into the community and talk about the process of and timeline of when that rail line is going to be completed. And we also were a voice for the limited transportation funds within the Denver metro region. We make sure that everything that's allocated is also allocated in our area.
Yeah.
Right, that's right.
I had no idea. It sounded like monster food, like walking across things. You were walking by with that guy. Okay.
Our main strategies for success, of course, have been addressing the economics, making sure that stakeholders are engaged when future developments come on board. We've recently had an IKEA come into the area, and we make sure that as the Colorado Department of Transportation looks at transportation improvements in that vicinity, that we're there talking about multimodality, making sure that pedestrians and bikes and transit agencies are able to access that area. We support our business members. Our services are free. Our services are free to any employer within our area. We have a contract with the Denver Regional Council of Governments that asks us to work with employers to reduce congestion. Our members are those people who choose to join us for whatever reason, whether they're just a sustainable business or whether they're advocates for improved mobility or whether they think it's a good community service to be part of our group. But anyone within our service area gets our services for free. We also partner with organizations like the North Metro Chamber, Adams County Economic Development, and any of the other business-related groups in any of our 9 jurisdictions. And then we offer a customized toolkit to employers, particularly using the origin destination optimization maps. We purchase RTD single ticket rides for people to try transit. And we go to a lot of fairs, community festivals, and that kind of thing. We support Bike to Work Day. We do a Transform, which is an annual summit. And in the last couple of years, we've really focused on the policy of autonomous vehicles and dynamic road markings. It's been a good fit for us, and people think it's pretty good. Our community outreach in 2016, we do about 20 community events. We have gone to about 85 employers. We have supported 23 Bike to Work Day stations. We have about 450 participants in our area, and we have 17 guest posts. We ask people to blog, and they've been very popular. We have it on our website, we tweet it, and we have a newsletter. And the Commuter blogs are very well received, and many of them are very, very funny and well written. What we say is we've reduced vehicle miles traveled by 696,000, 182 vehicle trips every day, and that is 274 tons of greenhouse gas that was not emitted. We really, in our evolving needs and changing situation, we really see ourselves growing significantly. We started with one person, and that was me, and then we hired another and another and another. We have 3 people working for us, and usually a summer intern as well. We are looking now to do a regional bike share program for the Adams County communities, 9 communities in Adams County. And we continue to work on addressing congestion for I-25 construction. It's being done in segments. We're on segment 3, and we do TDM for that. Thanks so much for listening to our overview of what Smart Commute Metro North does for our area, and I'd be happy to sit in for questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you to all 3 of our speakers. We only have a few minutes left, so I'm going to try and ask a question for folks. The first one, just from the viewpoint of your partners, both public and private, what are the primary metrics that they're looking at to measure your success? And maybe, you know, Rob, if you want to take the first shot at that.
Public's a little easier because they're looking just purely at really what's our penetration. So recently worked for the MPO, and they're looking at how many dues paying members do you have, what's their level of engagement, if you're having events, how many attendees, if you're utilizing social media or email, what's the penetration rate versus just tweeting into a vacuum or posting into a vacuum. Private more so is just return on investment. What's the return on investment to their individual organization, and that's, I think, more of an internal metric for them.
Alex, did you have anything to add to that on the metrics that you're looking at?
Sure. So we kind of have two groups that I think about in terms of metrics, and one is actually our members and the companies that we do consulting for, and kind of them looking at their own employee happiness. We do annual surveys with them, and just kind of seeing the outcomes of their programs specifically. And then the other is our public funding partners, who are looking at the number of members, the kinds of services we're providing, and then also sort of the region-wide mode split, which it's challenging to directly tie what we do with members to a really big picture mode split for our region. But that's kind of what we've been working on lately, is how to parse that.
Aaron, did you have anything to add for the metrics?
Thank you. We get funded in part by the Denver Regional Council of Governments, and they have a very stringent requirement on reporting. We report every month on the activities, the number of people we talk to, some of the outreach programs that we do, and at the end of each calendar year we have to report on VMT and some other metrics like that. I think with our employers, we always do an end-of-year report card, and we tell them the things that we've done in that year with them, and then ask for them to give us feedback on what else they would like us to provide for them. That's been very helpful.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Another question here, looks like for Alex. Could you describe in more detail your partnership or role in parking management in downtown Austin?
Sure. So we don't directly manage parking downtown, but the Downtown Alliance recently completed a really comprehensive study kind of cataloging all of the parking in downtown and looking at what the challenges are and what the strategies are to make downtown parking more available, but also kind of more comprehensively managed. So we have a couple of pilot programs that as the TMA we're partnering on to implement. One of them is a construction worker pilot program. So we have a lot of buildings going up in downtown Austin, and instead of having those construction workers park on the street all day long and ignoring some of the requirements for time limits for on-street parking, we're helping their subcontractors actually put together park and ride and shuttle options to manage that.
Alrighty. One final question, probably for all three folks. Can you discuss the pros and cons of having a TDM program run through a TMA versus a city, government, or transit entity? And maybe we'll start with Rob.
Sure. I think obviously I work for a TMA, so I would say the pros of running it through a TMA, in my experience, is much better than running it through either an MPO or county government or city government. And I think it's because of their independent, the nonprofit perspective, and also being a nonprofit has opened the doors versus maybe sometimes public not getting along with public or private not getting along with private. And because they look at us as a kind of neutral entity that's just trying to work to improve the region's economy while reducing congestions and improving emissions. And I think that's the model that I've seen work here, and in my travel around the country, I think that's the best model. The only thing I would add to that is it has to be funded adequately. There's a lot of TMAs, TMOs that pop up that aren't funded well enough, and they struggle, and then people get frustrated with maybe them not being viable, and I think that just goes to the funding.
Karen, do you have anything to add to that, or?
Sure. I think the value of having a TMA do TDM in our area in particular is because we're very nimble. We're small enough to focus on a corridor or an area, but we're large enough to do interconnectivity so that it's not just one community, but 9 communities working together. I think that's very valuable. The other thing in Colorado that's very interesting about TDM services is the Colorado Department of Transportation has now attached TDM services to any of their major construction projects, and they have looked to TMOs to provide those TDM services in a contract with the Colorado Department of Transportation. And I think that that recognizes the strength of TMOs and their ability to perform TDM services that are customized.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think that's all the time we have for questions. I want to thank all of our presenters for participating in today's panel, as well as for participating in the production of our newest research paper that should be appearing in your inboxes momentarily with a link that you can use to download and read the paper, spotlighting 5 TMAs across the country, and why governments and the businesses were looking to establish those organizations to assist in their achievement of their local regional goals. As well, look forward to you all joining us at our next webinar scheduled for November 16th, which will focus on maximizing park and ride facilities for public transit. Thank you all again for joining us. Be sure to fill out the evaluation, and we will look forward to having you on our phones in a few weeks. Thank you very much.